Matthias continued. Yes, if you look at those Florian spikes, you'll find that they are in rows of 7, the same as the number of letters in Redwall. There are 7 rows of spikes going from side to side, and 7 rows from top to bottom, 49 spikes in all. Therefore, the 25th spike up, down, or across is in the exact middle spike. The rhyme says, look to the center. That's this one here. As Matthias placed his paw on the spike in question, the door swung creakingly inward. Both mice could feel the hair standing on their backs as the door opened with an agonizing slowness. When it stood fully open, Matthias put his paw around Methuselah's thin shoulders. Come on, old friend. We go in together. But the rhyme, Methuselah protested. It says that only you may enter. Matthias answered in a strange, full voice. He seemed grown in years and stature. I am that is, old one. Martin is Matthias. As my trusted friend and faithful companion, I say that you may enter with me. Methuselah felt himself in the presence of one many times older than he. Lanterns held high, the 2 mice advanced through the doorway. Good morning, friends. It's Deanna Williston with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and we've been looking at the value of stories this week. So we started out with some natural history stories, and they tell us about the characteristics of animals around us, and if we really look at them with a Christian lens, you can kind of start to see how God reveals himself to us through nature, to get that burning love in us, to know the Creator, right? When you know creation, you should be spurned by love to know the Creator, but not everyone ends up in that path. And so I invite you to get out there and learn really how the environment works. And that's really going to help you. I think when you really see how it works, you're just amazed, because it's not random. It's beautiful, gorgeous, planned. So get out and read some natural history books with kids first. And then when you go out in nature and you see that muskrat, be like, oh, what are the characteristics of muskrat? What do you remember from our book? Even frog and toad, kind of, you learn a little bit about them. And you can go deeper and deeper. And some of the books I read as a small child, I go back and read as an adult, and they are still rich and beautiful. And I adore those books still. Then we looked at some more technical non-fiction-y fiction. So some of them, like with the little carved ivory bird that lived through 4 generations of seafarers. We even learned about industries that use water. So there's technical little diagrams in the side of the pages, or it can be a big diagram like McCulty's cathedral book, right? And he has a whole series of those. So there's lots of books with little technical drawings in the corner. So these books are great at all different ages of your life. That's what I love about them. They're not really just a one age, one and done kind of book. They're rich, and you could mine them for your entire life and never get everything out of them. Just like the Bible, we can read it over and over, and our understanding is going to change as we get older and mature, as we learn the definitions of words, what the symbols meant to the people of Israel in the Old Testament. It's going to keep unlocking them. And for that, remember, I've talked before about looking at both the work of Scott Hahn, who looks at the use of covenant over and over, and Jeff Cavins, who does the great Bible series, Great Adventure Bible series. And he tells you a lot of definitions and little clues about the history of the people that really are going to unlock those stories for you. And then today we have fantasy and sci-fi. And while I own all these books, could I find them at the last minute? No. And the reason why is because I do go to them every now and then, or loan them out or something. So they're kind of all over. And I know I had one set out at Christmas because I was reading it, and I don't know where it went. Okay. So one series I wanted to talk about a little bit is Redwall. And Redwall was made into a cartoon, but there are tons of these books, and they really are fun. It's the story of a whole society, kingdoms of little mice. They're just good, honest fantasy books. And kids of all ages love these. They're very well written, and that's why they've stood the test of time. I'm not going to really go into all of them, but they are epic adventures. Like this says, it will keep fans of Tolkien and King Arthur tales engaged. And that's the thing. It's a lot of little coming of age stories. So like we kind of described with natural history, but these happen for different ages, and it goes on time. It builds its own legends. It goes back and then tells you the legends it referenced to. And so you get that continuity. It's a beautiful little world to jump into. Speaking of then Tolkien, so of course Tolkien's books there's two competing quotes here, so I'm trying to kind of get them right so that I don't get in trouble with diehard fans, right? There are people who will argue they're not religious books because Tolkien outright said they're not an religious allegory. And he did say that, but he also said that they are very religious, spiritual books. So he didn't go with a straight up allegory. It's not like Narnia. You can't be like, look at Aslan and go, that's Jesus. It's not that easy, right? Different times, there's different aspects. It's kind of like people living their Christian life, even though Christ isn't explicitly in the book. And yeah, you get that, right? There's the Hobbit. He's like, the guy still living in his parents' basement. He was raised well, but doesn't really know what to do with his life yet. And then a father figure comes in and throws down a challenge, and he gets out. He goes out of his comfort zone. He makes all these new friends, and he's either going to grow from it or he's not, right? He always has choices. It's very much the Christian life. And for this, I'm not going to give it all to you. I'm going to say go out and read the works of Joseph Pierce. I'm probably going to link a video somewhere up in here. So Joseph Pierce, he's an expert on this, and he really opens your eyes and unlocks the stories for you and makes you look at them in the lens of your life then, right? So like I say, there's all kinds of talks. He has books. I got to hear him speak this summer. He's really excellent. I think you would just fall in love with him and really understand. He really goes in-depth analysis of the Tolkien books, and you're going to love them. So then we get to C.S. Lewis, and we know him for the Narnia Chronicles. And I think more homeschoolers are going to know what I'm saying. And even Father Angelo mentioned this at Mass, the Space Trilogy. So he also has a series of 3 books that are a space trilogy. And wow. So the first 2 are kind of little, and then the last one's really huge. So usually when you buy it, you just buy like one thick book, and they're all 3 in it. And it's basically a guy builds, it's not a time machine. I think it's space travel somehow. And he goes to Mars and meets the people of Mars. And he kidnaps somebody and takes him with him. And I'm not really going to go into it more than that because it's really great. And I really want you to get in and read them. They are excellent. And I really invite you to go back and read those books with the Christian life in mind and see what you think. So get out there, read some Joseph Pierce and others, and compare these to your spiritual books and just see how they do help you on your journey. And even the best way to do that is to read it again to a small child or read it with a small child. And you're going to get something completely different out of it than the small child's going to get. Now, there are cartoon movies out there and books like that. And what you're getting is a bunch of nasty jokes and rudeness and snarkiness that adults get, and kids see the cute fluffy animals or the princesses, but that doesn't make you a better person necessarily. So I invite you to read some good literature, watch some good shows with kids, and have those discussions and help your kids grow, because that's our purpose right here. Our purpose is our daily conversion and to continually turn to the Lord and grow and bloom. Bloom. Not just even grow or change. We need to bloom, because if you are in the light of Christ and you're being watered and fed by the sacraments, you should be blooming. Are you blooming, friends? If not, what do you need? Sometimes we need the support of, a nice little trellis, a friend, right? Sometimes we need that, and that's okay. So reach out. If you don't feel like you're blooming, reach out and let's get you some resources that you need. Okay, tomorrow I'm thinking I'm going to honor my husband by doing some post-apocalyptic books real quick. I hope you're enjoying this little series. If you are, put them down in the comments below, or if you've got other great book ideas that are really enriching and just helping people grow and bloom, please put them in the comments below and maybe we can talk about them. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. That's all important. The comments, the likes, everything. That lets YouTube know that this is a good video and worth sharing. And so that's what YouTube does. When you recommend it, YouTube shares it and gets this out to more people. So I thank all you that have been doing that. So like, share, subscribe, and God bless you, friends. Please pray for me. I know I'm praying for you guys. I've been so enriched by this experience, and so I hope you are too. God bless, friends. Bye. Hi, friends. I'm back. I didn't get very far, did I? So I had a thought as I was starting to edit this, and I thought I'd jump back on and share it with you if I hadn't. So one of the reasons I love sci-fi and fantasy books in this particular genre is that so many people, like in the time of St. Francis, said you can't really live the radical life of Jesus in this day and age. It's not even possible. And St. Francis was like, here, hold my clothes. Right? He did that first. And he just like, no, but that's what I'm going to do. And I mean, it was an exciting time, excuse me, for Francis's family, because with the emerging merchant class, like this was his family's chance, right? They were going to make it big. He was going to marry well. He was going to have a great business. This was it. This was their chance. You know, they'd kind of been more peasants all along, right? And this is it. This is society's big chance here, right? And he rejected it all of it. All of that opportunity, all that worldliness that was just, it was right there at his feet, right? And he just rejected it all. And Claire, I mean, look at Claire. She should have married well. It's not like she was lacking for opportunities, and she was like, no, I'm giving it all. And she had to fight for her right for poverty. She fought for her right for poverty, friends. Yeah. And so when we look at the sci-fi and the fantasy books of take place in different times and different worlds, we see many ways to live the Christian life in radical ways, and it can be done. Now, do I expect you to throw off your clothes and, you know, throw them at your mom and dad and run off? No, but there are some pretty radical ways, and I really want to give a shout out to those millennials out there who are doing this, because Vatican II, after Vatican II, so many nuns, right? They went back to they just started wearing plain clothes. They were living in apartments. They now had cars. They really rejected the convent life. And now the millennials are saying, nope, you got it wrong. I want to be radical. And they are. The more conservative the order is, like, the more it's blooming. And because the conservative is the more radical right now, right? They're totally in love with the Lord and willing to do whatever. And the ones who say, no, I want to be incognito in the world. Well, Christians are already incognito in the world. That's not a thing that we need nuns to do. We need nuns to be radical. And they are out there, like the Theology of the Body nuns. Sister Helena Burns. She's pretty darn radical. It's just so funny. The people that you think are radical are not radical. They're still living the world. Right now, the in thing is to be radical. And it is getting more and more popular to be like being gay wasn't enough. And then you had to be transgender. And then you had, bisexual was in the middle of that, right? And then it's the cool radical thing to be transgender. And abortion wasn't enough, so we had to go for late-term abortion. And now that's not radical enough. And we have to go after actual babies, already born babies. And that radicalism is just radicalism for radicalism's sake. I don't see people becoming better people because of it. That's the thing. People aren't becoming better people. They're still miserable. But then you look at those like cloistered nuns wearing habits, and they're so happy. We ran into some novices on a trip the other day, and they're just so happy. And they want to live the true radical lifestyle that brings you to Christ. And that's what I love about fantasy and sci-fi, because it challenges us. It challenges us to look at the ways that we can truly be radical and not only grow ourselves, but to help others grow. And you see that even in Redwall, which seems like, oh, it's just middle-agey times. But you look at how radical they are, and even just helping each other out and stuff that we don't think of when we think of the Dark Ages necessarily, because they weren't dark. The people, there were lots of lovely things going on then. And stop and take some time and reflect on that as well. Civilization was saved in those times. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything more because I want you to ponder this as well. So go back and read those books with a lens looking for the radical Christian life and how is it lived out? And how can you live that out today? So I'm going to say my blurb again. Like, share, subscribe. You know the deal. But I'm glad you stayed tuned. God bless you, friends.